Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So today I'm really excited about this one because I did a little research just to make sure I had the visual clear enough for you guys. Now, I talk a lot about, you already know this, self-care and self-love and writing your own story. But what does that really look like? And being in your main character energy. Now, that's not a new phrase is that's been thrown around quite a bit, and I'm glad to see it trending. I'm glad to see it be in your main character energy, move in your main character energy. You are the main character, and what does that really look like for each of us? Now, we might not all have a diva bone in our body. The Mariah Careys in the world, the Beyoncés of the world. I'm using them because they have been personified as a type of women that like what they like. They have very high standards. Like, I've heard stories of Mariah Carey, she want it all laid out before she even get there, kind of thing. When you think of a diva, you think of someone that says something like, when I get to my fitting room, I want 1,000 roses and my champagne chilled and white chocolate and strawberries, and then make sure that my chauffeur has the car at, a pristine 75 degrees, and make sure, they know what they want, they're gonna get what they want, and nobody tells them no. And if you do or don't do the job, you're fired. Or what is that from The Devil Wears Prada? That character, I forget her name, but anyway, Meryl Streep, she played that character. So in some ways, these women have been vilified, not vilified, but just made out to be bitches. But at the end of the day, they don't take no mess either. And they're not the ones that are crying boo-hoo, talking about what somebody said to them, or what they feel, or what happened. Like, no, they are the bosses. And so when I talk about writing your own story, I really wanted to paint the visual of, he's going in and out, paint the visual of what that really looks like. So we can we can use a book. You're the author, but I really like using a production team as more of the basis. So the producer, and remember, you're all of these moving pieces, and so you need to understand what each role does. Okay, so the producer, they manage the whole thing from start to finish. They finalize the script, the finances, and manage the team. Okay, so you know that you are the boss of your own life. No one can be above you. No one can tell you what to do, and no one can withhold anything from you. You make the final call. Okay, you are the producer. Hold on, sorry. You are the producer. So you know your credit score, you know your income, you know your net worth, you know what your finances goals are, your investment goals, you know what your niche is. We can't all get overwhelmed and be like, I do the stock market, and I do real estate, and I do little side hustles, and I work my 9 to 5, and I have this entrepreneurial thing. And, it's okay to focus on one thing so that you balance out your streams of income that work for you. So we're not here to debate which one is more lucrative. You just know what you're working with. And then the team management. So you are also responsible of balancing out how everyone makes your life move, or how they make you feel in your life. So your relationship with your parents, your siblings, co-workers, friends, extended family, if you have a boo thing, whether whatever, your children or godchildren, cousins, I can go on and on, but you determine what that looks like and how they all interact with you. So you're setting up clear boundaries, you're setting up respect, you're setting up maybe some distance, you're setting up some expectations, you're setting up systems in place that protect your peace. Okay, now the director, they establish and they think all things creative and dramatic and visual and exciting. And when the actors and actresses come into play, the lead roles, think the person that shouts action and cut, you know what I mean? Like, that's the director. And that's where the fun, the producer is the nitty gritty time, down to business. Okay. Your foundation. Okay. I laid that. But the director is your playfulness, your dreams, your goals, your ambitions, your personality, how you show up in the world, your style. And when I think about how that ties into casting, okay, you can't pick your family. You can't pick our family. You can't choose your children. But you can choose all the extras or the people that are going to have direct contact with you and how much they impact you. So let's get back to coworkers and significant others and even friend circles. You decide what their roles are, how they show up in your life, and if you want to cut them or keep them, okay? And a lot of times I think we forget that. Wait a minute now. I'm the leading actress. This is my story, my movie, and you're cutting in between scenes. You're getting out of character. You're messing everything up. I don't like it. This scene is supposed to be romantic and flowy and artistic, and you set the mood. The director sets the mood and the vibe for each scene and how the story is told. Okay? So if someone is messing things up and you got to say, cut. No, that's the action. So however you cut, the one that sits in the fancy chairs. You have to reassess, like, okay, in this scene, you kind of cut in front of me and I didn't, that's not what we're doing. So if you could just get back over here, we can get back to how this portion of my life is supposed to play out. Okay. Too many times that you're not going to have a job. It's okay to cut people. It's okay to make people extras, push them back a little bit. I thought you were going to be right here and now we're going to take some space. That's what the director does. That is your power in your life because the director knows the story from start to finish and how it's supposed to feel and move and how it's supposed to draw the viewer in. And in your case, you're the viewer and the actress, so you want to feel all the feels. And even when things are unpredictable, so let me use myself as an example. I had this story of, okay, I'm going to get married, have my baby, have my family, and figure the rest out later. I didn't really have like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I just knew, okay, you just do life. You just work your job, you save, you might go on a trip, just basic stuff. Really wasn't too, I wasn't a big dreamer at that when I was 23, unfortunately. I had been exposed to more, but I was just dumbing myself down. So when my ex-husband life was cut short, or late husband, that threw everything off as far as the way my movie was playing. I didn't expect that. I didn't have any control over that. And it was something that I didn't think I could recoup from, like bounce back from. So looking at my life from a bird's eye view and saying, okay, now how do I want this scene to, what's going to happen? And this happens in real life. A production team has to say, okay, this is an unexpected tragedy or setback with how this movie or this show was being filmed. Now we've got to change the script, but it doesn't mean we're going to cancel the show. It doesn't mean we're going to stop filming the movie. Okay, this movie will still be great. This movie or show will still be iconic and whatever. We have all these goals to win all these awards and be recognized as this and that, but we have to keep going. So you take all that into account and you make sure that you see at least what's a few, what's the word I'm trying to like milestones that you want to accomplish, because you can't know everything that's going to happen, obviously, but you can know the direction that you're going in. You know that at the end of this story, you want to portray that everything worked out. She is safe and secure and provided for and lucky. That everything that she wanted came to her in a roundabout way. It doesn't matter how long it took. It doesn't matter what it looked like. It showed up and it came. What is that journey? What is the visual, what is the visual storytelling of your process, if that makes sense? You're going to every day, don't forget that, wait a minute, this is my story. This is my reality. So even when things seem out of character and even when someone kind of seems to cut off your blessing or interrupt, you can still say, all right, well, I can't control that, but I can control me. And so what is it that I'm going to do in this moment? What is going to be my reaction? What is going to be my decision? What is going to be now my new viewpoint of this person or this situation? What is it that I want? Is this in alignment with what I want? Where do I want to be? How do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? And on and on and on. You have to ask yourselves those questions. Those questions. You have to ask yourself, okay, with this scene, is how do I feel right now? Because if I don't like it, I can cut it. I can move. I can change. I can scratch that out. I can start over. This is still going to be an amazing story. I still have an amazing production team. I still have a great foundation. I still know who I am. I still have resources and assets and things that can work for me. So I am it all, and I accept and embrace it all, and I can do it all just with time and patience and consistency and confidence. That's the thing, is the confidence, because let me tell you something about storytelling. Everybody's not going to understand the story, and everyone's not going to appreciate the story. There are so many different movies and novels and series out here that aren't everyone's cup of tea. But to someone, or to a lot of people, to a huge group, it is inspiring. It is thought-provoking. It is deep. It is artistic. It is just so, oh my goodness, have you seen this show? Well, everyone has that power and potential with their own life. And whether you go on to be someone that shares your story like me, or another author, inspirational speaker, it's not about everyone's got to be that one, but everyone's got to feel empowered in their present, in their real lives. And everyone can do that. But just, when are you going to start and how are you going to go about it? Because a very defeatist mindset, oh my God, it's not fair. They're better than me, or, I just can't figure it out, or I just don't know. I'm so fearful. What about this? What about that? That's not a very uplifting story. That's not going to be a story that's going to, keep you engaged and like on the edge of your seat. Like, oh my gosh, you should be so excited for all the potential of all that this can unfold. This is, you want your life to be a page turner. You can't put it down. Y'all know them books. Okay, I'm just gonna read one more chapter. And you look up and it's 3 a.m. Or you're on the train, or you're on the on a bus ride, or in your Uber, and they're like, ma'am, this is your stop. And you're like, oh my God, I totally got lost in the pages because it felt so real, because, this is just such an interesting story, and I just never know what's gonna happen next, and all the characters and all the events and how the characters make each other feel and how they interact. You have that same power. You don't want to look up and have gone 5 to 10 years and you have the same dead, dry, boring storyline, the same blah characters, the same blah settings, the same blah, like she gets up, she does this, da-da-da. There's no like, where is the excitement? Where is the what's the word? Peril and the journey and exploration. A lot of stories, they have an issue, a problem. They have, the bad guy or the villain, or they have, something that needs to be solved and discovered, or they have to go on some quest, or they have to get outside of their comfort zone. It's never just a it's always something that needs to be done in some way. And that's just life. But you decide how you're going to feel and how you're going to move when things come. You can set your own things up. Like, so if, let's say you decide to go back to school. All right, you know that it's going to take this and that and that and this to get your degree, to get on the other side of that, to have that achievement under your belt. What does that look like? But you know that what you're about to embark on isn't going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Okay, I can use so many different examples. You insert what you want. It doesn't have to be the same thing for everyone, because we're all different. And so we all have different things that we're called to, different experiences. Every woman's not called to be a mother. That's okay. Every woman's not called to work a 9 to 5. That's okay. Every woman's not called to be a creator, or be a speaker, or be artistic, or be whatever. But you have to know what works for you. And that's where it gets like, we don't all have to agree on the same path, but we have to all agree. Do we all have peace? Do we all have fulfillment? Do we all have happiness? Do we all have self-control and a sense of self about us? Are we all always constantly and consistently working on our self-development? Do we have a sense of self-worth, self-value, self-love, self-care? Do we think about ourselves? Do we put ourselves first? What does that look like for each of us? Because that's when we as a collective are winning. That's when, get out that bag. Stop it. That's when we know that we as women have arrived at a new era, and we're not under these constrictive beliefs, these constrictive roles and responsibilities, and things of that nature that get a little like, we don't feel good doing this stuff, but for whatever reason, these things have been identified with womanhood, and that's not fair. That's not fair. Let's take cooking, for example. Last point. In your story, if you hate to cook, you are not a chef. You are not a cook. Okay, you like to eat, but you don't like to cook. You write in your story, I don't have to cook. I don't have to cook. There's too many options in this beautiful wide world where you can get fed, you can eat. Over here, we're not struggling with starvation and poverty and lack. Okay, and no access to clean water and fresh, good, healthy food, quality food. In your story, you write, I can afford a chef. I can afford services that bring me meals that they don't take a lot to put together. Or my partner, my spouse cooks for me. My children like to cook. They love whipping up stuff. Or I eat out. And when I do eat out, they're healthy options. I have tons of restaurants and things around me that offer great food, good food, healthy food. So cooking does not define my womanhood. Cooking and cleaning, you know what I mean? Your place is in the home. And last thing, I had looked into like the trad life hashtag, and I kind of identified with traditional in the sense of like, okay, a man provides. If a woman wants to have kids and be in the home, that is well within her right, and be spoiled and provided for and protected, blah, blah, blah. But beyond that, the trad life hashtag was going a whole different direction. I was like, wait a minute, man. I started deleting. I was like, I need to take this off, because that doesn't mean barefoot and pregnant, 9 months out of your year, every year back to back, if you don't want to have that many kids. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that you can't work if you want to work and your place is in the home. That doesn't mean that you are subservient to your man. That doesn't mean that you have to do all these domestic things to prove yourself or carry your weight within a relationship. And I was like, that's where the trad life, again, not making assumptions to all women that use that hashtag, but for me, the overall umbrella was like, no, I actually don't think this is the same thing. So in my experience with that particular thing, I was like, this is not in my story. This doesn't match my version of, a home, work-life balance, how I connect with my man, blah, 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 how I show up as a mother, what I do in my home, how I roll, blah, 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 blah. So again, to clarify, you as the leading actress, the leading role, the star in your movie, your story, your life, you decide how all of this goes. And even in the things that seem unpredictable and out of your control, you do have control of you. And when you find that balance, and when you find out how to temper your reaction to things and your solutions to things and your thoughts toward things, if it's always negative and if it's always like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever, I can't, this is too much, it is what it is, that's when you start losing control. That's when things start feeling overwhelming. That's when things don't feel so good, don't turn out like you say you want, but yet you're working against yourself. So back to the mindset, back to your self-care and your self-love and showing up for yourself. Everything else falls into place after that. Because again, this is your story, your life, and you are writing this day by day, page by page. This is your script. So thank you for watching. I hope that helps someone out there. I had to do it. I started writing in journals 6 years ago, and I haven't stopped since. And it's not, I don't even do it every day anymore, because now I got this thing on autopilot. I know. You know what I mean? It's like knowing a song. You don't have to look at the lyrics anymore. You know what to say. You know what you know every tone, everything. You know what I mean? Like, you know the vibe. You know what this song exudes. So, yeah, work on it and get your confidence up. Another thing is confidence. You know, Mariah Carey ain't shy. She ain't, look, you take one look at Mariah. Everybody knows Mimi is the queen. And she carries herself as such. And you have that same potential. So you have to insert it. And again, even if you're a shy person and more laid back, you don't necessarily have to, you know, be, but you have to think highly of yourself. You have to want the best for yourself, and you have to not take anything less than the best. Did I say that right? You shouldn't take anything less. Yes, you shouldn't take anything less than the best. You know what I mean? Because you deserve it. So at 21 minutes, I don't know how I feel about that time. But anyway, I said what I needed to say. Thank you again for watching. And until the next one, peace. Bye.